Hey guys, and welcome back to Middle-earth updates and a little news roundup in regards to the new Gollum movie dropping in 2026. And most importantly, Ian McKellen giving us his first mention of this project and his involvement with it. In case you don't know, the movie focused around Gollum with the working title The Hunt for Gollum is set to be released in 2026 with a potential delay to 2027. We don't have a lot of details on it yet, but Andy Serkis is reprising his role as Gollum and is also directing the movie, and the movie is being produced by Fran Walsh, Philippa Boyens and Peter Jackson, who all worked on the original Lord of the Rings movies, giving this movie a very good chance of success. When it comes to the cast, not a lot is known, but I'm gonna go through a couple of speculations later in the video. But most importantly, and what you're probably here for, is Ian McKellen, who obviously played Gandalf in both the Hobbit trilogy and the Lord of the Rings trilogy. He's actually 85 years old now, but still very active, acting both in movies and big plays. And he recently spoke to The Big Issue promoting his new movie The Critic. And to them he said the following: "Enthusiasm for the Lord of the Rings shows no sign of abating. I can't tell you any more than that. I've just been told that there are gonna be more films and Gandalf will be involved, and they hope that I will be playing him. When? I don't know what the script is, it's not written yet, so they better be quick." Obviously making it clear that he wants to be involved. And this is one of the few interviews that he has done lately after he had a terrifying stage fall earlier this year, which left him with some significant injuries. And he did say the following: "I'm left feeling weak physically, which I'm doing exercises for. And of course, it's emotional. We all trip all our lives. It's just when you get to my age, we can't always get up again."
What I'm left with now is the emotional memory of the accident, which was more severe than I realized. I was saying and shouting things about death and so on. I thought I was on the way out. And I wasn't, but I'm still left with the memory that I thought I was.
But he did also say in a separate interview with BBC Breakfast that he has no plans to retire from acting. "I should just keep at it as long as the legs and the lungs and the mind keep working." So it's clear that he wants to do this, but the question is, can he realistically do that? If Gandalf plays a major role in this movie, it's almost too much to ask for Ian to do this. Not only is he 85 years old, but he just had a very serious injury, so for him to take on a major role feels a bit unrealistic. There are of course a lot of tech these days, but they can use other actors to play most of the physically demanding scenes of Gandalf, whereas he could focus more on the conversations and such. One example of this is of course Christopher Lee in the Hobbit movies. He was actually 90 years old when they filmed that, and he simply filmed it in a green screen room in London and not in New Zealand, and then they added that together during editing. Ian has had his issues with green screens and working that way, so I don't think that's what he wants to do. I'm gonna guess that he either wants to play the role properly or not do it at all. But keep in mind that we still don't know the actual plot for this movie. There's obviously a lot of speculation, the big one being that if the movie is actually gonna be called The Hunt for Gollum, it could cover Aragorn's literal hunt for Gollum across the borders of Mordor, which would culminate in the capture of Gollum in the Dead Marshes, interrogation by Gandalf, incarceration in the Woodland Realm, and then his escape during an orc attack, ending with him becoming stuck inside the mines of Moria. And if that's the case, Gandalf is gonna play a fairly significant role in the movie. It could also, based on some other things they've said, be a bit of a broader movie that would go as far back as Gollum's first emergence from the Misty Mountains in an attempt to track Bilbo, turning the film into more of a bridge between the two trilogies. We still don't know this for sure. But what about the other cast members then? We don't know anything for certain, but if they go for the plot that I mentioned first, I think they would have to bring Viggo Mortensen back to play Aragorn, as Aragorn would probably be the main character in that movie, and in that case maybe Lee Pace making a return as Thranduil in the Woodland Realm, and maybe even Elijah Wood as Frodo if they want to bridge it together with the Lord of the Rings trilogy, because the hunt I mentioned actually takes place between these two scenes in the Fellowship of the Ring.
Keep it secret. Keep it safe. Is it secret? Is it safe?
In the movie by Peter Jackson, they kind of make it seem like it's only a couple of weeks, whereas in the book it's actually 17 years. So a lot of things happen during those years, and that's where most people are guessing that this movie is going to take place. But again, it could also be something in between the two trilogies, we don't know for certain. What we do know is that the story seems to have been in the works since October last year, so they've actually gotten quite far along with it. Another interesting piece of news is that Artie Papageorgiou, one of the writers on the project, posted this on Instagram with Andy Serkis and part of the crew visiting Hobbiton in New Zealand in preparation for the movie. I think it's probably a given that they're gonna film the movie in New Zealand, or at least part of the movie in New Zealand, because we're used to those environments, and unless the movie plays out in completely different locations in Middle Earth that they could film in other countries, I think they have the best chance of success filming it all in New Zealand. And especially if they need to have Hobbiton in the movie, which I would guess if they want to link it together with Bilbo and Frodo. Overall, I think everything around this movie sounds really good, and the people involved with it, and the story is definitely there in all of Tolkien's works to give us an actually interesting story, considering that there is a 17-year gap where they could explore Gollum, Aragorn and Gandalf's story, or simply the timeline between the two trilogies. I am of course a little bit worried about which characters are they gonna involve, how are they gonna cast them, because if they start going for not the original actors for characters like Gandalf and Aragorn, it is gonna be really hard to make people accept that and make it good, considering it's gonna be around the same part of the timeline. Lastly, we just wanted to thank you guys for the support on the channel lately. It's crazy how much the channel has grown over the last couple of months, and also to all of you purchasing our merchandise. It really helps a lot. So if you're interested in any of these designs, feel free to head over to meupdates.shop. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more Middle-earth news, updates and behind the scenes content, and as always, may the orcs be with you.